Hello and welcome to a video for the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra Sergeant Stone. Before we get on to the packaging that Sergeant Stone comes in, I bring this package in because with the idea with doing these videos, it was because I wanted to do my best to connect the figures that we get with the scenes that we get within the movie. Now we've jumped around quite a bit here to get to Sergeant Stone because there are some figures and characters that are introduced before, but because we don't really get them as figure form necessarily, or I have a better connection to the figure later on in the movie, I haven't gone to those figures yet. But I wanted to go with this one before Sergeant Stone because if you look at the Duke here, he's in his training outfit that him and Marlon Wayans' character Ripcord were in when they were being trained before they became G.I. Joe members. Also, I did some DPC videos with the different parts Cobra Commander, and the Snake Eyes in the back there, I used his legs for that Cobra Commander. So I wanted to have this here as a connection to the movie, a connection to why we've jumped to this figure and package, and then also a connection so you guys know if you've seen my Cobra Commander's lower legs, this is the Snake Eyes that I used the lower legs from. Another thing I'd like to share is that we were supposed to end up with a Duke in training gear other than the training gear that we were just talking about, where he would be coming with some of the accessories and looking more like he did when he was training with Snake Eyes. Unfortunately, we didn't end up with that figure, but we did get some of the parts when Pursuit of Cobra came out, when they released exclusives for Toys R Us, where you had the Quick Kick and then you also had Spirit Iron Knife. So here we have the packaging that Sergeant Stone comes in. I do like the fact that it has a shape to it other than just a square card back. We have the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra logo here, and it's nice and silver and very updated compared to what we would have ever seen for their original line in the 1980s. Then we have Sergeant Stone here, and it's kind of interesting with the artwork though, because I don't know yet if I feel like all the other artwork goes with the characters or the actors, but with this one we know that Sergeant Stone is now played by Brendan Fraser. So with the card art and the figure, I don't think I really see any similarities with Brendan Fraser, and I'm kind of wondering if that was because that was a last minute decision to bring him in, or was it that maybe it cost too much for Hasbro to get his likeness as a character? I'm not 100% sure on that, so what do you guys think about that? Then we have the logo for the unit of G.I. Joe within the movie, Sergeant Stone. He is a Special Forces Commando, and then you have all the accessories that he came with, and I don't think the missile firing action figure accessory that he comes with is that bad, because here it actually comes with a base and it can be a cannon, so it really makes sense that he's got it. It's not like he has to carry it on his shoulder oversized, you know. On the top here we have an advertisement. At the time they were advertising a game by EA Games. It says the battle continues. EA, gijoe.ea.com. And I actually did get the game and I did play it. But here's hoping that the next sequel's game is a little bit better, because no offense, but I played it and I'm glad to have it as part of the collection, but it really felt dated. Playing the game made it feel like it was something from the Nintendo and not really a present day game. Then we have visit gijoe.com for more items and online games. Then we have a description here of what G.I. Joe is. G.I. Joe is a highly trained, classified special operations unit composed of men and women from around the globe. Officially, these warriors don't even exist. Few know the truth. The G.I. Joe fights a secret war as the first and last line of defense against forces that seek to plunge or rolled into chaos. Wherever there is trouble, G.I. Joe is there. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Then we have a description and ID clearance badge here for Sergeant Stone, but we'll get to that in just a sec here. And then right down here we have all the characters that came out for the movie that you could collect. Now I really like the fact that they have kind of like a painting look to them. I mean, obviously they're drawn and everything, but it just means like with the shading and everything, it doesn't just feel like a normal card back to the figures. It actually feels like a real painting. Then we'll go on to the ID clearance badge. Looking at Sergeant Stone's ID clearance badge, it says Sergeant Stone is a special operations instructor who trains the G.I. Joe team in combat tactics, marksmanship, survival techniques, and other commando skills. He battles Neo Viper forces who drill their way into the G.I. Joe pit headquarters. Now, it'll be interesting rewatching the movie if that's actually a scene that he actually takes place in, or if this is a scene within the toy line, because that's one thing that you'll notice with the figures is in some ways the storyline goes a little bit different than what is actually happening in the movie. So that's kind of nice though, because then you get two different stories, but still somewhat of a connection. So it says Sergeant Stone, Jeffrey Stone IV, serial number 501-13-LS47. Then we have Grade Sergeant E5. Then we have preferred weapon is an 820 selective fire long range fully automatic assault rifle. Now it says for official identification only, so I'm not really sure what that's about. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Why did you think they had to put that part there? I think it's kind of nice. It shows that it's a little more updated, or it is actually an ID clearance badge because it's got the thumbprint there. Unlike before where with the 80s line it was just a file card, so it was kind of like you were looking through a file on somebody and not necessarily the ID clearance badge here. And then you also kind of have this drawn hole in the ID clearance badge there to give you that ID too. Here's a look at the bottom of the stand that the Rise of Cobra Sergeant Stone comes with. And here we have Sergeant Stone out of package. Before we get into more on the base stand, we'll show you that with the base of the gun and the top of the gun, you just snap the two together. And I think they use this base and gun more than once, so that's why you'll see that even though it is meant to look like that, there is this other hole right here, but I think that's only used for another figure that we'll get to later. But there's that. And then here's a closer look at the stand. It's got Sergeant Stone on it. And then it's got two pegs. But let's take a closer look at Sergeant Stone as a figure. So unless my eyes didn't pick him up, I didn't see him in the fight scene that they talk about, but of course all the members of the headquarters were probably on duty, so I'm sure maybe in another scene he was fighting. But in the movie we actually don't see him, but we do see this look as a character in the movie again while Duke and Ripcord are being put through their bases. So Sergeant Stone looks rather great. Go ahead and do the 360. And then we'll get some closer looks at this figure. He's got his pistol here, and then this is his 820 selective fire long range fully automatic assault rifle. Looking like Brendan Fraser or not, definitely a good looking head sculpt on Sergeant Stone. Really great detail. He's got the camouflage lower legs and pants that all the generals and other non-G.I. Joe, that go on to look for Cobra. So basically the uniform that I'm assuming they wear within the headquarters. And we've got his gun and his pistol there. Cool thing is they've even got the logo of the G.I. Joe team right there, and it's amazing how small, and yet you can still see the Hawk's head there. Just really great that they can do that nowadays. And then he's also got another one somewhere. Alright, there it is. So I actually like it when they put the logo on there. And then the other cool thing is, even if you don't want him to have his vest as he looks in the movie, it is removable, so we'll show you what that looks like. So here we have Sergeant Stone without his vest on, so really nice that there's another look that you can get for the figure since they've got some sculpted detail underneath the vest. Now you do have to pop off his head though in order to get the vest off, because it doesn't just slide off, it actually unsnaps there, and then you have to take off the head so you can lift it off and then pull it off. And then also lifting the arm straight up on one side really helps get it off a little bit easier too. In my opinion, we don't really get to know Sergeant Stone too well in The Rise of Cobra, but before the movie was coming out, many of us was wondering if the Sergeant Stone that Brendan Fraser was going to play, if it was going to have the same storyline as a Sergeant Stone that we know from Sigma 6. But we won't give away what happens to Sergeant Stone in the Sigma 6 universe. But the other connection that we can make is that Brendan Fraser was saying, as he was being interviewed, that he was really looking forward to doing the movie because he was a big G.I. Joe fan. Also, it was going to be another time that he'd be working with the director of Rise of Cobra, Stephen Sommers, because they had worked on previous projects before. So this is pretty much all I can really think of for Sergeant Stone right now, but I would love to hear what your guys' ideas are. So I hope you've enjoyed my take on Sergeant Stone from The Rise of Cobra. As always, I thank you for rating, commenting, and subscribing. But above all, thanks you guys for allowing me to show there's more to this toy collector than just playing with toys. Bye. We'll see you next time.